Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everyone? I know it's been a little bit of a while, but considering that summer has now officially begun, I hope you guys are now staying cool, because I can tell you right now, where I am right now, yeah, it's been quite hot. Like, it's already at the point where air conditioning really is needed to go and relax and make sure that you can stay cool as you're going to be spending your time here in the summer. So just want to go and give you a little bit of advice right there, because I know I'm definitely feeling it. And when you go outside, oh yeah, the heat is real. But anyways, this is not what I'm here to go and talk about. It's not regarding outside. This is about the show. And I know that I did miss out on last week, and I do apologize on that, mainly because I did have an acting job that I had to go and do. And I'll just say now, I cannot go into specifics about what it is, because of course I did sign an NDA, but I can tell you that I did have a fun time. Sadly, though, you won't be able to see it because my job was to be a stand-in for this particular project, but still, it was a great experience all around. However, there is something about the fact that I missed out on this episode. It actually ultimately worked out, because when you looked at all the entertainment news and especially the animation news that happened last week, it was honestly very dry. Like, if I didn't skip out on last week, I would have skipped out on this episode or on this week right here. So ultimately, I feel like it very much worked out, because I will say now, most of it is going to be to catch up on what we have missed out last week. And thank you very much, Omid. Already starting off nicely by with Omid here being a new fish. But as I was saying, yes, for this episode, we are going to be catching up and to see what major animation news that has been happening ever since last time. And I can tell you there's been a lot, especially in regards to what has been happening at this year's Annecy International Animation Film Festival. So we will be covering some of the major announcements that has happened on there. So, all that and so much more, of course. So, with all that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? So, are you ready for this, folks? Let me hear it. Let me know if you are ready. All right, so let's see what we got here. Yes? Okay. I see people are prepared. People are set. All right, people are already expressing their comments here. All right, that's nice. So, I see people are all set. People are all prepared. So, without further ado, I believe now it is time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, we're going to start things off with a little bit of a preview. Well, a sneak peek or a teaser, as you will, of one of the upcoming animated features that is going to be brought to us by Neflix. Now, interestingly enough, Neflix did reveal what's going to be their upcoming animated lineup for the rest of 2025. And I will say that even though they got a good batch of new seasons and new shows that are going to be coming both for adults and for kids, as well as a bunch of new anime, I'm surprised that there's going to be not as much animated features that are going to be coming as I thought. Even though they did previously state that there will be a whole bunch that will be coming out on the platform in 2025, However, it looks like for the rest of this year, we're only going to be getting a handful. We just got K-pop Demon Hunters a few days ago, as I am recording this. There's also going to be Fix later this summer. And then there is going to be their adaptation or their animated adaptation of the Twits that will be coming out this fall. But then there is this one, though. One that they have been talking about from time to time, but it looks like now this one seems to really have some potential, or at least that's what Netflix believes. At least enough potential to go and actually create a teaser trailer this very early, considering that this is going to be coming out much later at the end of this year, or close to the end of the year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with our first story, as we are going to be checking out the teaser trailer for the upcoming Netflix animated feature, In Your Dreams.
What is that?
Naked dream. What's so scary about this?
Absolutely nothing.
And that is In Your Dreams. Yes, it is short, but keep in mind that it is a teaser after all. And the movie shall be coming out exclusively on Netflix on November 14th. Now, do keep in mind that it's been a little while that Netflix has been hyping this project up. In fact, this has been one that I believe even last year they've been talking about how they have this project called In Your Dreams, and even already brought up a bit of the summary where these two kids whom their parents are on the brink of divorce, they're traveling in the land of dreams hoping that they can go and solve their problems in order to go and find the Sandman. And as you can see in this teaser trailer, one thing that I will say immediately is that it reminds me so much of the SpongeBob episode where, like, this is, I believe it's like a season 1 episode, so very early on in the show's history, where SpongeBob goes into the realm of dreams. Like, if you're a SpongeBob fan, then you might probably remember that. Yeah, and some people have even brought up in the chat the episode Sleepy Time, in which SpongeBob, he goes into his dreams and then suddenly he travels into his friend's dreams. Like, he goes into Squidward's dream and Gary's dream and Patrick's dream and Sandy's dream and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, I kind of get that same vibe where we do see these two kids traveling across these different types of dreams, rather it be themed to food or be themed to like pirate ships sailing, be themed to many different kinds of stuff, going in this very imaginative adventure on the search for the Sandman. And of course, as it is a teaser trailer, of course, they're not going to go and really go in depth in terms of what the plot is about. So we don't necessarily know how the theme of divorce would play a certain aspect here. But I guess the big thing that it wants to go and highlight is in regards to the animation. And honestly, I will say that if it's just to go and highlight that, then it already left a great first impression. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is one of the Netflix animated features that they got Sony Pictures Imageworks to go and do the animation. And I gotta say, what they have done, it definitely looks fantastic, especially with all the different worlds and all the different dreams that you see them entering, like the little cute food world that they have. And then, like, this is fall, and then, like, you got over here, which looks like, I believe, maybe this is the Sandman's kingdom. And then, this is this is, like, the pirate ship one that I mentioned. And suddenly you got this giant fish who would be literally crashing the ship. And then, of course, what I can already see in the chat wall, what everybody has been talking about is the one particular dream that they went into, or what could technically be a nightmare, is, of course, the naked dream, like right over here.
Naked dream. What's so scary about this?
Absolutely nothing.
One thing that I'm just going to go and say, and don't worry, I'm not going to show this all the time, but one thing that I will say, in regards to that little gag that they did there, it is definitely stupid, but I will admit that it did give me the biggest laugh. And a big part of it is how it actually plays with the censorship. And I mean, yeah, there have been times where in cartoons or even in animated kids films, they would have like those types of naked gags, but never have we seen one that decides to be a little bit more bold, and we suddenly get characters like literally have their private parts be full on blurred out. And I think one thing that actually makes it pretty funny is that also the stuffed giraffe, Baloney Tony, also has his, he's also censored with his parts as well. So I will admit, it's a dumb gag for sure. But I cannot lie, it did give me a laugh. But then again, I will say that in terms of the humor in general, outside of like that particular joke that really got people talking, I will say at best it's just cute. I wouldn't necessarily say that, we got a new fish again. Oh, thank you very much, TK. Anyways, as I was saying, it's just like in terms of the gags that they would have, a lot of it is, it's okay. Like it is cute. I would say the only other highlight that I can imagine, it's right at the beginning with the kid Elliot trying to do a magic trick, and well, I guess this is another like another crude naked joke, especially when it highlights his crack.
It's magic!
I can see your crack, Houdini.
Yeah, I will admit that, like, maybe the joke is not the best, but I will admit that the delivery of it actually does work, especially like with the little scooched over, like when he's trying to scooch after she said, like, yeah, I could see your butt crack. That thing's a little bit cute. But I will say though, it's hard to really find anything else to go and comment because again, this is just a teaser trailer. I don't, like they're not necessarily showing much, but I will say though that it does show a lot of potential. I'm not going to go and consider if this is going to be a fantastic feature. I don't know if I'm immediately going to go and write this down among one of my most hyped movies for the rest of the year. But I could see where it could go in a direction that can actually be great, especially when the animation looks very solid. It promises to be very imaginative with all the different dream worlds and all the different characters that they would go and meet. And there are times when the humor, I'll say now, maybe it's not necessarily for everyone. It did give me a little bit of a good laugh. So we'll see how things will ultimately go with this, but I'm not gonna lie, this is not a bad teaser trailer. Again, I do see a lot of potential. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on the idea of In Your Dreams, but we'll have to wait and see. And if you are hyped up, or if you are interested to go and check out In Your Dreams, then keep in mind that the movie shall be coming out on Netflix on November 14th. And with that said, now I would like to pass this down to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what did you all think about In Your Dreams? And what did you think about the teaser trailer that you have seen? Did it convince you to go and check it out? Are there any criticisms you would like to go and express? And also, let's go and actually make things a little bit interesting because I'm going to go and create a little poll here. So I want to go and ask... what can I go and ask? I don't know if it's going to be too early to ask, will you be watching it? Okay. I know what I will go and write. Did you like the teaser of In Your Dreams? There we go. So I'm going to ask for your opinion on the teaser trailer. So I'll write down yes, I'll write down no, and we'll see what the poll has to say as I check out the chat wall. Okay, so let me see here. I was excited for this film when I heard the concept, but seeing the trailer, Yeah, I am so underwhelmed. The animation is stellar with how it presents the dreams, but the comedy is what really weighs it down. Like, did we need the naked dream bit? Like, no. I'll still watch it out of curiosity since there's a non-zero chance that I could be wrong about it, but right now I'm not impressed. I'll give it though, for a divorce-themed animated feature, it sure can't get worse than Spellbound. Oh yeah, you got that right. I'm not gonna lie, I honestly... Like, say what you will about that naked scene, but I personally would rather take that than to go and watch Spellbound again. Hey, at least, like, it got well, I'm not going to say, like, a good reaction, but at least, like, there is some enjoyment that can be found from that gag that they did in that particular scene. Let's see now. Yeah, no, I'm out. This looks incredibly generic and cheap. The premise of characters enter their dreams while not completely used to the point of cliches has been used too many times to really make a unique movie out of it. Also, it may be because this is going to be on the same streamer as Cuties and Big Mouth, but this trailer having so much child nudity in it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Oh boy, are we going to be opening that Pandora's box again? Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to go and immediately make that like a whole thing on this, so I'm going to be stepping away from that. Let's see. Okay, that last bit was unnecessary. Like, why? I'm generally supportive of stories about dreams, and it seems pretty cute, rather generic, but I've seen worse. I can imagine if these kids have divorced parents. Yeah, I don't blame these kids for wanting that escapism. I think it could be a nice story. Okay, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I am surprised to see that, that little bit at the end, it was like a soul deal where many people would go immediately, no. Like, I get it, like, I know for many people out there, like, that type of humor, like, it's off limits to them and they're more offended than they are that they would think it's funny, but oh boy, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect that with the In Your Dreams teaser it would get that kind of strong reaction out of some of you. Anyways, let's see. This looks really good so far from the first preview. The animation is solid, the characters are fun and sweet, and the humor admittedly is hilarious, especially the crude ones. Even though it's still a teaser, I'm still hoping to see how they can handle the themes of divorce since it is a central theme. Let's see if they did better than Spellbound. What if we get an R-rated one called In Your Horny Dreams? Well, I mean, okay, now we're going into some like weird, crazy directions. We got people who are upset at seeing that naked dream gag, and then there are some people suggesting, like, what if we take this movie and make it hornier? But I do see, we got some interesting results in terms of the poll here, in which it states that at least most of you actually said that, yes, you did like the teaser trailer, in which 58% of you actually did say that, yes, you liked the teaser trailer of In Your Dreams, while 42% of you who have voted said no. So it's a little bit more of a mix, but lean in a tiny bit more into the positive. So some very interesting mixed results we got here. Let's see, what other comments do we have? Let's see. That song is a funny but perfect fit for this movie's trailer. If any other movie trailers use that same song, the song would definitely be completely overused. I happen to actually like that song, but only this version. Unfortunately, we still have the Neflix app, but the price of it leaves me and my family mixed. Yeah, of course, like, with something like this, like, I understand using Sweet Dreams, like, nowadays, when it's used in movies, like, it could be way too overdone. I know this might be a little bit of a hot take, but, like, even I personally groaned when I would hear it again in Trolls Band Together, when those stupid villains would go and, like, reuse that song to show their singing chops, per se. But in this case here, it's like, it is an exception. Like, of course, like, you would have to use Sweet Dreams in a movie that's about going on this adventure in your dreams. And even the version that they got here, I'll admit it's not that bad. So I do understand your perspective on that. Let's see, what other comments do we have? I see potential in this. Them exploring different dreams like a spooky dream, a romantic dream, an action-packed dream, and even a musical dream as maybe potential dreams. The only thing that I don't like is the humor. It's kind of weak. Also, I don't think we need a naked dream. In the words of Plankton, good grief, he's naked! Enough said. All right. Let's see. I think I'll read a couple more comments and then we'll move on. I think we'll move on to our first break. So honestly, this might be pretty cute for a movie. It may not be amazing. Like, I'll admit it doesn't seem too appealing with the weak humor, except maybe the last part where people are dreaming of their hormones, but I think this could be a decent film. Also like Orion in the Dark mixed with That Christmas and SpongeBob's Sleepy Time with Dreamscapers. Like that, I could see the potential of being a fun film. All right, let's see. This trailer didn't really impress me all that much, but I could see how it could have potential. Visually, it's really impressive, but the comedy is kind of weak. But the story could have potential and be very creative and interesting, so we'll see what happens. Also, with the naked scene, again, another person quoting Plankton, good grief, they're naked. So I'm not gonna lie, it is very interesting to see the mixed results of In Your Dream so far. Some people do see the potential that it might be a great imaginative feature, and there are others that are really turned off by that naked dream joke that already they're completely resenting it. So, but either way though, if you are interested in checking out In Your Dreams, once again, just want to remind you that it will be coming on Netflix on November 14th. So with that said, we're going to go on to our first break right now. And when we do come back, that's the time when we're really going to go and catch things up with what's been happening at the Annecy Animation Film Festival, especially with all the announcements that they have in store, especially from one particular studio with a couple of their highly acclaimed and beloved channels. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we will be looking into the announcements at this year's Annecy International Animation Film Festival. And oh boy, was it an eventful moment this year, especially with all the different activities, all the different events, and especially all the different announcements that has occurred. In fact, there have been several studios that have showed up this year to go and present what they have in store, not just what will be coming soon in 2025, but also in early 2026. Some examples would include Sony Pictures Animation, whom they came in to go and present what they have in store with their upcoming animated feature that will be coming, I believe, in February of 2026, which is GOAT. And then you also have Walt Disney Animation Studios who stepped in, and they actually showed a little bit of a preview of what they have in store with Zootopia 2, along with bringing on board Ron Clements to go and induct him, I believe, in their, I don't know if it's either their Hall of Fame or their Walk of Fame, but it's basically having a moment to honor Ron Clements, whom, by the way, he has also announced that he is going to be coming out of retirement so that he could be a mentor at Walt Disney Animation Studios. So very exciting stuff. And all this, and there have been several more announcements that has occurred at this year's Annecy. But for this one in particular, I'm specifically going to be looking into the announcements made by Warner Brothers. And while they did talk a tiny bit about some of their upcoming movies that will be coming in 2026, 2027, and beyond, the big announcements, however, are going to be what will be coming in terms of their TV channels, specifically Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, or maybe not necessarily on the channels themselves, but it's more what Cartoon Network and Adult Swim has in store. Now, I'm just going to let you know that I will be doing a little bit of a lightning round where I will be listing each of the projects before I come to you to go and ask your opinions about it and which ones are you absolutely hyped up about. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the Cartoon Network announcements. And I might as well go and begin with the major one that they have revealed, which is, of course, Steven Universe Lars of the Stars. One of the biggest reveals that has happened at this year's Annecy is that there will indeed be a sequel series to Steven Universe called Lars of the Stars. However, the big catch, though, and the reason why I said that it may not necessarily be all for their TV channels like Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, is mainly because Lars of the Stars is actually going to be an Amazon Prime Video exclusive. So right now, Cartoon Network is currently in development to go and create that. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, let me go and read you here from my source on Variety, where it explains right over here. Executive produced by the creator of Steven Universe, Rebecca Sugar, alongside her partner and OKKO Let's Be Heroes creator, Ian Jones-Quartey, Steven Universe Lars of the Stars will follow up on the original show, tracking fan favorite character Lars Barriga, described as an eternal teenager and space outlaw. According to the official description, the sequel series will chart Lars and his space pirate crew as they smuggle contraband, evade the authorities, and uncover the darkest secrets of the fallen gem empire. So in a way, it sounds like they're going to be making a space Lupin the Third, if you will, or maybe like a combination of Cowboy Bebop and Lupin the Third, but all themed to Steven Universe, in which, you're going to get a band of rebels, but they're mostly going to be the thieves more so than actually stopping the thieves, if you will. But of course, this is not the only announcement that they have done here. Of course, a bunch of them are also going to be new seasons and also the comeback of many fan favorite characters. One in particular is going to be Teen Titans Go, now officially celebrating or going to release its 10th season. And to go and mark the occasion before actually releasing the 10th season, they even put out this picture here in which they got a Big 10 that is about to be destroyed by the Teen Titans. And you see them all in various different forms in which they've also been highlighted, like basically some examples of like some significant moments that has happened in the series, where of course you got Robin being, well, Robin. Then you got Cyborg and Beast Boy, in which they're in their rocker outfits. And then you also got Raven here, who has her like major sexy muscle legs. And then you also got a Chad Starfire. But then moving forward, some of the other announcements that they have done include some more Adventure Time stuff, where they did talk a little bit about Adventure Time Fiona and Cake and how they are developing season 2, and have even mentioned, which I will go and read this part here, that it will take place more in Fiona's world and less in Ooh, although Huntress Wizard will have an expanded role in the show's second season. And on top of that, they have even mentioned that work is also underway in terms of the other Adventure Time spinoff, which is Adventure Time Side Quest. So, of course, they're also going to be working on that as well. But then at the same time, we also got J.G. Quintel coming in to talk a little bit about the revival of regular show. And he didn't necessarily reveal a whole lot just yet, but that is indeed in the works. So Mordecai and Rigby are going to be coming back pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But at the same time, Quintel also talked a little bit about another series that he is working on, which is called Super Mutant Magic Academy, in which he stated that it's going to be kind of like a combination between X-Men and Harry Potter. Then moving forward, they also brought in Craig McCracken, in which he talked about his upcoming new version of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Now, previously it was reported that it was going to be more of a preschool show starring Blue, but what he has explained is going to be a little bit more different than that. And to go and give you more of an understanding of what I mean, I'll go and read you here what it says. So it states, the studio focus also included an appearance from cartoon legend Craig McCracken, who shared an early look at his upcoming preschool adaptation of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And while the show will be aimed at a younger audience, McCracken insisted it would not necessarily be educational or aspirational, prioritizing humor above all else. In a brief animated clip, it was made clear when Blue taught the invisible friends around him that the day's lesson was to never, ever, 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 ever trust adults, because they will make you do things like eat a broccoli. It's also like a cartoon It's almost like a cartoon parody of a preschool show, McCracken explained, saying that one rule during production was laughs over lectures, again stressing that this show is meant to be entertainment first and foremost. So in that regard, it does sound very interesting. And I guess it wants to try to go and appeal to a more broad audience than just the preschoolers. I think, like from the sound of it, it seems like the main goal that they want to go and achieve is to try to be a little bit like Bluey, where it would be able to go and gain an adult audience as much as they would get the target demographic to go and check it out. But would that be the case? I guess we'll have to wait and see when that show will actually be released. And then finally, there's also Ben Baclet, who came in to go and discuss a little bit of what's going to be in store with the wonderfully weird world of Gumball. And he even showed a clip at Annecy, which in that regard, I believe the show is going to be coming soon. I mean, it was already established that Gumball or this new version of Gumball is going to be coming out on Hulu, and I believe it's going to be pretty soon that it will be coming out. I believe in a month. Chadwell, you probably know a little bit more about when specifically is the release date, so I believe it's going to be in later June that it shall be released. So let's see. I do see one response saying that it's going to be on July. Okay, yeah, so it is official. The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball will be coming soon on Hulu on July 28th. All right. So, those are all the announcements that Cartoon Network has done in Annecy, and a lot of very interesting stuff. And I could already tell many people are already hyped up for the return of Steven Universe, especially with Lars of the Stars. But now let's go and jump into the big boy pool with Adult Swim. And they also have their fair share of what's going to be in store on that channel as well. Yes, there will be a few things that they will be giving new seasons to, but also they have revealed a whole bunch of brand new shows. And as you can see here, this is one of them right over here, which is called Keeping Up with the Joneses. And to go and switch to my source on Animation Magazine, this one says, from the creators Hugh Davidson, Rachel Ramress, and Larry Dorff comes Keeping Up with the Joneses, a half-hour adult animated comedy that follows the Newberry family as they try to keep up with their staggeringly wealthy Dallas neighbors, including the one next door, Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And these creators here, they are noted to be veterans who have worked on several notable projects. It even states here that the creator trio previously co-created and executive produced the Neflix live action series, The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Then you also got Hugh Davidson, who is noted to be a writer in Mike Tyson Mysteries and Robot Chicken. And then there is also, okay, I guess that's it. Because then it just says that Keeping Up with the Joneses is produced for Adult Swim by Warner Brothers Animation. But then you got this next project here. And this is one that a lot of animation fans have been talking, mainly because of the people who have been involved, and especially because of the uniqueness of this particular project, to which it is called The Elephant. And to go and give you an understanding of what this is about, let me go and read you here of what they have in store. So, it states here, celebrated for shaping some of the most beloved and groundbreaking animated series of our time. A powerhouse collection of creators, including Rebecca Sugar, Ian Jones-Quartey, Patrick McHale, and Pendleton Ward, are joining forces for a one-of-a-kind animated event so mysterious, even they don't know what it's about. Sounds crazy, right? How could they not know what it's about if they're all working together on this one project? Well, it says here, Adult Swim's The Elephant is an animated special where one team is responsible for one of 3 acts without any knowledge of what the others are making. With Sugar and Jones-Quartey working as a duo, and McHale and Ward overseeing their own separate parts. The Elephant is guided by Game Masters Jack Pendarvis and Kent Osborne for a storytelling experiment that unfolds as a collaborative surprise, ultimately merging into a single, unexpected narrative. Married to the animated special will be a behind-the-scenes documentary showing the unconventional situation in which the directors were operating. Coming to Adult Swim, The Elephant promises to be a truly original experience, not just for audiences, but for the creators themselves. The project is produced by Titmouse for Adult Swim. So basically, with The Elephant, it's a very unique game. You get some of these Cartoon Network superstars, and you have them all working not together on this one project. So you're going to have Rebecca Sugar and Ian Jones-Quartey, where they're going to go and set things up for one act. And then suddenly Penn Ward is going to come in and he'll have the second act, or he'll have the other act, in which will be totally different. And the same can also be said with Patrick McHale, with what he might go and do with the project, or with his act in particular. So it's going to be a surprise for everyone. But I will say, one thing that really did sold me on this idea is how they're also going to go and present this with a documentary showing how they're going to go and create their individual projects. Because that right there, already I could tell that it has a crazy story. So I don't know, like, there's a part of me that already feels like I want to see this documentary more so than The Elephant itself. I mean, like, I do want to see both, and I mean, it would be required, to go and watch The Elephant before checking out The Elephant documentary. But still, though, like, I want to see how this unfolds. Like, if I'm going to check out The Elephant, I definitely would want to know how they went and create this project, or how the individual creators are put in this very unique situation. So already that has my attention. Now, in terms of the other announcements that they have also revealed that there's going to be 2 more seasons of their highly acclaimed anime Ninja Kamui, in which they have revealed the next season will be coming soon, called Ninja Kamui Season 2 Red Vendetta. Then they have also revealed a little bit extra information that they are still in development of the adult animated series from Genndy Tartakovsky called Heist Safari. So that's still going to be happening. They have also revealed that they have renewed 2 more seasons of the fan favorite show Smiling Friends. So yes, we are going to be getting a season 3 coming soon. But now there is a confirmation that season 4 and season 5 is going to be happening. And finally, they have also revealed a brand new stop motion animated series that will be coming on Adult Swim later this summer called Women Wearing Shoulder Pads. To which I'll go and read you here the description of what this is about. So it states here, created by Gonzalo Cordova of Tuca and Birdie and Adam Ruins Everything fame, and produced in partnership with Mexico City-based studio Cinema Fantasma, the people who brought you Frankelda's Book of Spooks, the stop-motion series follows Marionetta, a proud, wealthy Spaniard living in 1980s Quito, Ecuador. I think that's how you say it. I could be wrong, though. There, she encounters a diverse group of eccentric and ambitious women navigating the complicated world of love, family, and cuis. Featuring an all-woman cast, Women Wearing Shoulder Pads is produced entirely in Spanish with English dubs. So that is all the announcements that we have gotten at Annecy with both Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. And if I may go and personally express the projects that they have talked about that really caught my interest, I think the one for me that really sounds the most interesting, it would have to be the elephant for sure. But at the same time, I would also say, I mean, there's also Gumball and regular show that also has my interest, but they didn't necessarily like reveal a whole lot about those. But other than that, though, I would say, yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think I'm going to go like the main thing that I'm personally excited about is going to be the elephant. I mean, all the other announcements are great, but that one in particular that's the one that it made me go, this I gotta see. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And now I want to ask you all, which projects are you the most hyped up from all the announcements here at Cartoon Network and Adult Swim's presentation at this year's Annecy? Which ones are you the most excited about? Which ones have you curious? And which ones do you want to see more of, even with the recurring shows that they have talked about? So let me know what you all think of that. All right, so let's see here now. Teen Titans Go, more like Teen Titans No. I don't care that Teen Titans Go is still going, but hey, pretty impressive that the show is still going. That minor part of the announcement aside, this is quite impressive that Cartoon Network has in store with a lot of shows, like we're getting more Fosters and the return of Gumball. I am quite interested in seeing the elephant, mainly because of how the 4 creators are going to be involved in this one particular project. All right. Let's see. Okay, speedrun. Let's get it. Lars of the Stars could be fun since I do remember seeing Matthew Moy in Scrubs and nothing else. Teen Titans Go's 10th season. A little overkill, I guess, but I can't complain. Fiona and Cake. I haven't seen it, but I need to get on that. Super Mutant Titan Academy. I love that title. Gumball. I can't wait for that trailer. I can't wait. That trailer was hilarious. Keeping Up with the Joneses could be funny. The Elephant sounds pretty unique. I'd go on, but I think I'm almost out of character. Okay, you're done. Okay, let's see now. Oh, someone even brings up a hot take. Apparently, regular show is better than Gumball. Interesting. I want to see how the cartoon community would react to that, or how do you guys feel about that? Anyways, any other comments? Let's see now. I actually am excited for Lars of the Stars. I hope they expand on the off-color gems, since I feel like they were the most pointless characters at the end. Still need to watch Adventure Time, but glad this show is still going strong. Foster prequel seems series, that's nice. Well, okay, I'm just gonna say now, I don't think it is a prequel series, considering that it does feature Blue, so I think it is actually the opposite. It's a sequel series. Anyways, not my thing, but have fun. The Elephant sounds super ambitious, but also kind of a mess, but still a creative mess. I mean, like, we'll see. Maybe it will be a mess, but still, though, like, hopefully it will be spectacular in terms of the kind of mess that they may present, if it comes out as a mess. Anyways, let's see. Regular show, The Elephant, and Gumball are the ones that I'm most interested in. Lars of the Stars I may check out since I really like Steven Universe, but I thought Lars as a character is just okay, so him being the MC doesn't have me that interested. Okay, that's fair, that's fair. Let's see, are there any other comments? There are definitely some really interesting announcements. For me, I'm really interested in Steven Universe, Lars of the Stars, and seeing the comeback of that beloved series, and the Elephant sounds really interesting. However, I'm a little concerned considering this is Warner Brothers, and you know how they don't care about Cartoon Network, so I'm wondering, are all of these revivals coming to Hulu like the new Gumball series? Yeah, you do bring up a very good point, because it is true that with some of them, they did state that they're not going to be necessarily on Cartoon Network. Like, we already know that Gumball is going to be on Hulu, and then they stated that with Lars of the Stars, that's just going to be on Amazon Prime Video. So, yeah, you do bring up a good point that there is a possibility that maybe with the regular show revival, or what they may do with Adventure Time, or even with or even with the new Foster series, that's going to be a bit of a wait and see with where they're going to be released. Although I will state now that the one who, like, if there is a project or projects in particular with those Cartoon Network series that has a chance to actually be on Cartoon Network or even on HBO Max, I think it's the Adventure Time stuff. I did hear that with Adventure, I'll be honest. I don't know if with Adventure Time, it actually did if it did well on HBO Max, or if they're interested in showing more Adventure Time on HBO Max. But I don't know. I feel like, however, with the legacy of Adventure Time, that may have a stronger chance to be on the platform compared to something like Gumball or regular show and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. So let's see. Where do we have here? Okay, I'll go with this. I'll read two more and then we're going to go on our next break. So, I gotta say, there is a rapid fire of Cartoon Network context to consider. More disappointed for Disney, but some of which I'm not really interested. Just saying, like regular show, Teen Titans Go, meh, no. Lars of the Stars, maybe, but kind of over it. Gumball, ooh, fun. Foster, let's just hope Blue is more likable. And the elephant in the room, what? That description does not make any sense, yet fascinating somehow. Everything is a mixed bag. I don't know. Also, has anyone seen that Bugs Bunny video? It's hilarious. Oh yeah, definitely. I remember seeing that. Okay, time to unleash my inner summoning salt and speedrun this. Lars of the Stars sounds fun with the whole concept. Teen Titans Go, die already. The elephant, I have no idea what the hell it is, but I'm already excited. Foster's Home brings back childhood memories. Keeping Up with the Joneses might sound fun. Overall, this one is good. All right, so I just got to go and say that there definitely is a lot to go and register with what Cartoon Network and Adult Swim has announced. But hey, it looks like their future is definitely bright, and we are definitely going to see a lot more fan favorite characters, including some new ones that will be coming to us quite soon. All right, so we're going to go on to our next break. And when I do come back, or when we come back to see each other again, we're going to go into a bit more announcements that has happened at Annecy. But this time around, instead of looking into what upcoming shows that are going to be in store for us, we got a couple of major announcements from one of the biggest animation studios out there. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story right here, we are going to be discussing about Pixar. Yes, there are some Pixar news that we're going to be looking into. And what perfect timing to go and talk about Pixar, especially when they have recently released their latest animated feature, Elio. And before I continue, I just want to go and make a quick comment about this, because I know that when it comes to Elio, a lot of people have been discussing about how it did at the box office. And the answer to that is, well, not very well. And already we're seeing a whole bunch of articles that would go and discuss about how Elio had a disastrous opening. It's one of the worst openings that Pixar has ever had. And already people have decided that they're just going to go and give Elio the L, already labeling it as a box office failure. And not only that, but it was also a moment that I've seen some people really go out of their way to go and express nihilism and doomerism, basically saying that, well, Elio's a failure. Now we will never receive another original animated feature again, and now Disney will only be doing sequels and live action remakes for the rest of our lives. You know, like, I've seen a bunch of people like really going that far to express how upset they were with Elio's box office results. Now, before I go and, get into the stories that we're going to get into, I just want to say this. Keep in mind, people, that 2 years ago, people have said the exact same thing about Elemental. And if you remember what happened with that film, it got the same articles, it got the same people to go and say that, oh, it's a flop. It's one of the worst openings that Pixar has ever gotten and stuff like that. But then over time, throughout the summer, it actually managed to do pretty well to the point of becoming a sleeper hit, where even if it had a bad opening, it went on to go and actually become successful for Pixar and Disney. So what I want to go and say is that who's to say that maybe Elio could actually have that as well? Maybe the same fate could occur with Elio, where it didn't start off well, but then over time, it could actually go and become successful in its own right. Now, one thing that I want to say why I think it could be possible is mainly because of the fact that the word of mouth on Elio is very positive, more positive than I may even expect. Like, I've also seen some people, like, they would be like some of the harshest Disney critics out there who would not hesitate to throw their hate at Disney no matter what, where they would go and watch Elio and they would come back and say, you know what, that's actually pretty good. So even by internet standards, the word of mouth on Elio has been very positive. So I can honestly imagine that could be the saving grace of this movie, where over time, like, it'll just make like little bit of financial gains throughout each weekend and throughout the summer as well, to the point where it would gradually become successful, kind of like what we have seen. Now, of course, there is that possibility that maybe I'm wrong and that Elio would ultimately become a failure. But what I'm just saying is that it's best to go and have a wait and see attitude on how things are going to go with Elio. You know, I don't think we should go and immediately rule out if it's a failure, because there is that likelihood we could see it become the next Elemental, where it could become successful just much later in the summer by just performing more steadily week after week. So in terms of Elio, I'm just going to say now, we'll wait and see with how that film goes. But this is not necessarily to discuss about Elio. This is to go and discuss about two particular Pixar stories that was revealed during Annecy. And the first one I want to go into is actually, well, this one came in first. So let's go and discuss about the new director of Incredibles 3. Yes, it was revealed that for the upcoming third installment of The Incredibles, they have actually found a new director. Instead of Brad Bird, they actually brought in Peter Sohn, whom, well, coincidentally enough, was the director of Elemental, and now he's going to be on board to work on Incredibles 3. Now, some of you might be wondering, though, what about Brad Bird, though? Where is he in the picture? Is he still going to be involved with The Incredibles? Is he going to still work on Incredibles 3 if he's not going to be the director? Well, the answer to that is yes. In fact, the best way to go and describe what Brad Bird is going to do is that he's going to be taking on a very similar role to what Phil Lord and Chris Miller has done for the Spider-Verse films, where he shall be both the producer and writer. In fact, it even states here that he is specifically going to be writing the screenplay, and he will be the producer alongside Dana Murphy. And I just want to go into this and to go and make a quick comment to go and say that, honestly, it is a very interesting choice, and that, honestly, I'm actually quite surprised that Brad Bird is going to be taking a bigger role than I expected. Because I'll just say now, the main reason why Brad Bird is not coming back as a director of Incredibles 3 is mainly because he's actually more busy, or currently he is busy at Skydance Animation to go and work on his Ray Gunn movie. That's apparently still in production. And apparently, from what I've heard, it is possible we could be getting it soon, where they might be planning for a 2026 release date. I don't know, but that seems like it's going to be the plans from what I have heard. I could be wrong, though. But however, like, even though he would still have that, I'm surprised, though, that not only will he be the producer, but also the writer of this. So Brad Bird is still going to be heavily involved here to go and work on The Incredibles. And of course, I just want to go and state now, I mean, I'm sure he'll probably do more than just be the writer and the producer, because let's be honest, who else is going to go and voice Edna Mode? So we might as well go and add that as well. There's no way that they can make another Incredibles movie without Edna Mode. But then we have to go and look into the main topic of this, which is the fact that Peter Sohn is going to be the director. And that's a bit of a surprising choice. Why Peter Sohn in particular? Why have this man to go and direct The Incredibles? Well, the main reason is actually because Peter Sohn actually has a long history with Brad Bird. In fact, Brad Bird is the main reason why Peter Sohn has a career, especially when he went straight out of college and his first major animation job was to actually be an animator with Brad Bird. In fact, there's actually a bit of a highlight here on this article on The Hollywood Reporter, in which it actually highlights a bit of their relationship, in which it states here, Sohn and Bird have a long history of collaboration. Sohn has worked on every animated Brad Bird film, including The Incredibles and Incredibles 2, up until this year's Ray Gunn. Bird has been a mentor to Sohn, and Sohn was specifically chosen to carry the Incredibles torch by Bird and Pixar Chief Creative Officer Pete Docter. Sohn is a Pixar veteran, having voiced characters in various movies from the studio like Ratatouille as Emile, Monsters University as Squishy, and Lightyear as Socks. Elemental, Sohn's second movie that he directed at Pixar, was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars last year. And this is also worth noting that on top of directing Elemental, he also made his directorial debut with The Good Dinosaur. So in that regards, personally, the more I think about it, the more I feel like it is actually a very good choice to go and have Peter Sohn, because he actually had experience working on both Incredibles films and has a very good knowledge on the craftsmanship of Brad Bird. So if there's anybody who can go and actually stay true to that Brad Bird formula or that Brad Bird style of filmmaking, it would definitely be Peter Sohn. Plus the fact that he has already been proven to be a pretty good storyteller. Like, I know the movies that he has directed, they're not necessarily the best among Pixar films, or at least most people would feel like they're not the best, like The Good Dinosaur or Elemental. But personally, I feel like his directing job and the storytelling skills that he has shown in those movies, they're actually pretty good. And I think they could actually be worth, proceeding onto his, proceeding to go and tell a new story related to The Incredibles. So for me, it actually makes me optimistic with what's going to be in store with Incredibles 3. And it shows that it is going to be in good hands for sure. Like, we got Brad Bird, who will still be heavily involved in the project, not just as a producer and as a writer, but also we got Peter Sohn directing the film. So already right there, it gives me a lot more confidence with how things are going to be with Incredibles 3. But this is not the only thing that I want to go and talk about related to Pixar, because then there is some other announcements that have been made. Now, there have been a few, of course, in terms of showing previews of Elemental and Hoppers, and, well, not Elemental, sorry, with Elio and Hoppers. And then there's also a little bit of a discussion of what's going to be in store with Toy Story 5, in which not only did they discuss about the concept of technology versus toys and stuff like that, but they've also mentioned that Jessie is going to be having a more prominent role on this feature. So Jessie will be one of the main characters, per se, of Toy Story 5. But the biggest announcement that they have made there, it's not any of their recent upcoming stuff or the things that they have already announced. It's not about Toy Story 5, it's not about Hoppers, and it's not even about Elio. It's actually going to be about a brand new original feature, which is called Gatto. And they have revealed that with this one, it is going to be coming out in 2027. And as you can imagine, with a movie called Gatto, yes, it's about a cat in Italy. So of course they got to bring in the team of Luca to go and work on this project. Specifically, it will be brought to us by Luca director Enrico Casarosa and producer Andrea Warren. So you might be wondering, okay, so we got another new original Pixar film coming up. So what is Gatto all about? Well, on my source on Variety, it actually has a pretty big description of what this is about. So I'll go and read you over here, to which it states, this new Pixar film returns to Italy, Casarosa's birth country, this time to Venice, where after years of maneuvering the seaside, an extraordinary city, a black cat named Nero begins to question whether he's lived the right life. A partial music lover, at least his tale is, and non-swimming feline who is indebted to a local feline mob boss, Nero finds himself in a quandary and is forced to forge a truly unexpected friendship with Maya, a street artist who adopts him against his will. Together, those two individually form an odd couple, but this relation might finally lead Nero to find his purpose, unless the mysterious and dark side of Venice gets the better of him first. So yeah, it's basically a cat trying to get away from the cat mafia and then forms a bond with a street artist. That's basically the plot line that we have gotten with Gatto for now. And once again, they have mentioned that this will be coming soon in 2027. And honestly, when I heard about the announcement that we are once again getting a brand new Pixar animated film, an original Pixar animated feature, it kind of made me reflect upon what people have been saying about Pixar. Because if you've been on the internet or you've traveled around social media, you're going to get those people who will be very much nihilistic, or they will be very much like filled with doomerism in terms of Pixar's future, where they would be a lot more upset and would primarily be focusing on the sequels, such as Toy Story 5, especially Toy Story 5, on top of stuff like Incredibles 3 and Coco 2. But then, funny enough, like when you see those people making those comments that, oh, Pixar's gonna make nothing but sequels, they often forget about not only the upcoming original films we're getting, but also that we have, lately, we have actually gotten more original stuff from Pixar than actual sequels. I mean, when we look into what we're getting right now and in the future, like we're actually going to be getting 3 years in a row of original animated features from Pixar. Like this year, we just got Elio. Then next year, we're going to be getting another original film from the creator of We Bare Bears, by the way, with Hoppers. And then the year after that, now we're getting another original animated feature called Gatto. And the funny thing is that when you look into this decade, now, like, we have actually gotten a lot more animated we have gotten a lot more original animated features in this decade so far from Pixar than we have throughout the entire 2010s. It's as if ever since they kicked out John Lasseter, Pixar got a lot more freedom to go and create more original stuff. And by the way, this is not even to mention about win or lose, by the way. And when we look into the past of what we have gotten with the original films, like we have gotten Soul, we got Luca, we got Turning Red, and we got Elemental. So then when you go and then you add into the factor of what we got in the present and the future with Elio, Hoppers, and Gatto, so far, that's 7 original animated films in the 2020s. When you go and compare that to the 2010s, we have only gotten Brave, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, and Coco. That's it. The rest are nothing but sequels. With 2, in fact, we have even gotten 2 Toy Story sequels and 2 Cars sequels. So really, I think back of how people would go and react to, oh, Pixar is only making sequels, they're gonna make a Toy Story 5. It's kind of crazy to think that Actually, the reality is not necessarily true. And it's funny how, like, even though Hoppers was already announced and that people were aware that Elio was going to come, people have often forgot about those and were only fixated on the things that they don't necessarily want, like Toy Story 5. And honestly, it kind of makes me realize that there is a problem with the internet, and especially with the cartoon community, that they need to face. And that's the fact that they don't actually know what is going on behind the scenes at these studios. And I feel like, especially with the cartoon community, they need to stop pretending like they actually know. Because the truth of the matter is that we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes or all the projects that they have in store. Yes, there are the things that they have announced that they are currently working on, but there's also plenty of other projects that are still very early in development and that we don't officially know what they're going to do with it. Like, yes, there is going to be a bunch of sequels, but there's also going to be a bunch of original stuff that is also coming soon, or possibly be coming soon. And this is not just in regards to Pixar, but I would say this with all the other studios. Like, a great example is with, oh, and you know what? I just realized another one I've forgotten, Onward. That's true. So that's 8 original animated features that we have gotten in the 2020 decade. I am so sorry that I have forgotten about that, but it further proves my point. And the thing is, when you go and look at, like, going back into the discussion about how people don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes, a great example of this is with Disney Animation. Because so far, the only projects that we know that they have coming soon are just the sequels. We only know that they're working on Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, and Frozen 4. But that does not mean that they're not working on any other projects or that they're working on any original projects. In fact, it was recently revealed that apparently Jared Bush did state that right now they have their 2D animation team and that they're currently working on crazy stuff. What are they working on? Honestly, we don't know. But the thing is that, like, there are going to be those people out there who will say that, oh, right now they're just working on sequels. That is not true. You cannot go and say that because you don't know if that's all that they're actually working on. And I think, honestly, this is a big problem with the internet and social media, where not only is it filled with pessimism and nihilism and stuff like that, but it's also people having the priority that they just want to be right, that they want to go and win the argument where they feel this way and that they're right, and that they are right. They don't want to hear anything that would go and contradict what they say. Like, there are some people out there who are so pessimistic that they refuse to hear any form of contradiction to what they say or any form of possible optimism that people would go and actually say. Like, they would rather just go and shut that down because they want to be right about their pessimism and their negative view on companies like Disney or any other studio that's out there, or basically how they're upset with the mainstream studios out there. I'm even going to go and say this right now that, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I get backlash for this segment right over here. I wouldn't be surprised if I get those people saying that I'm a Disney defender or I'm a Disney shill or whatever because I'm not shedding Disney on a negative light and that I'm contradicting what the cartoon community is saying about them, that they're only making sequels that they don't want. They're just making all the they're just going to be making so many Toy Story sequels and Cars sequels, and that they won't look into any original stuff or whatever. Like, I know that there is a chance that I'm going to be getting those comments because of how people are so pessimistic and prioritize wanting to be right than to actually know the facts. But again, this is a large problem with how the internet and the cartoon community is, where they think they know what's actually happening behind the scenes, but the truth is they don't. Unless you actually work at those respective studios, you don't really know what's going on. I mean, even with me, I could go and express my opinions. I could go and express my thoughts, my predictions, and I can assume what's going to be happening behind the scenes in stuff like Disney or Sony or any other studio. But I'm just only going to be making guesses. I don't truly know for a fact of what's actually happening behind the scenes. So in that regards, like for me, I'm just making my guesses. I'm just making my opinions. Like I'm not a full-on source of what's truly going on behind the scenes. And just to let you know, none of the other animation YouTubers are either. Like, you're not, like, you won't fully 100% know from people like Veilsky Bum or Saberspark or Shafrillas or any of those animation YouTubers out there. We're only making our guesses. We're just expressing our opinions based on what we know. But do any of us actually know what's going on behind the scenes? No. And we need to stop pretending like we actually do. Because if we think we know better of what's going on behind the scenes, then that's just being pretentious. So that's why I just want to go, like, with this whole thing, I just want to go and call out the pretentiousness. And from what we have been seeing with Pixar, it is actual proof that we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. Where people will go and go all, like, go into their doom mode and they would write down, oh, Pixar is only going to be making sequels from now on, and Disney is just going to be giving us more live-action remakes, and they're only going to be making movies that we don't want. Like, they're going to go and make their crazy comments like that, but when you see when you look into what they're actually doing, they're actually making more original stuff than ever. So that's why I just want to say, like, honestly, let's stop pretending like we know more than what we actually do. So that I just want to go and make that statement. So yeah, anyways, I know that I've spoken a lot about this, but now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the Pixar announcements about Incredibles 3 and Gatto? So let me know what you all think. All right, so while Peter Sohn wasn't who I was expecting, this is all a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I loved his work with Elemental and The Good Dinosaur, and The Good Dinosaur is The Good Dinosaur, but now I'm excited to see him take on something outside his ballpark. As for Gatto, at first I thought this would just ride the flow craze, but honestly, this could end up becoming absolutely beautiful. And Toy Story 5, damn it, they did it, they won me over. But the thing is that, yeah, and that's another thing. Like, there is a lot of people who still try to be pessimistic with whatever Pixar or Disney is doing, and they're trying to say that Gatto is a Flow ripoff, but number one, you got to realize that animation takes a long time, and that I am pretty confident that Gatto was in production even before the people at Pixar was aware of Gatto. And two, I almost forgot about one extra detail about Gatto, is that apparently it's going to be more stylized, in which it actually states here, the Annecy crowd cheered at the announcement and went wild as Doctor unveiled animation tests of a distinct, unique hand-painted look, something Pixar has never shown before. The film appears to be rich in colors from Venetian setting and blends 2D hand-painted textures with cutting-edge CG animation. So we might end up getting Pixar's version of what we have gotten with films like The Wild Robot and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So that's going to be very exciting to see. All right, so anyways, let's see any other comments. Oh, well, we might as well go with the person literally called Pixar Girl. So Peter Sohn is directing Incredibles 3. Good for him. I hope the poor man won't get all the backlash from people whining. He did want to make Elemental a superhero movie, so I think it'll be a good thing for him. Gatto sounds cute, but I feel annoyed of people going to compare it to Flow or All Dogs Go to Heaven. Hoppers also sounds like it's weird but a fun time. I could speculate all about the production of these movies, but as Mr. Coates said, every movie is a miracle even to be made. Go Pixar. There you go. Let's see now. I'll get this out of the way. I'm done with this insert Pixar film flopped in opening weekend BS. Just wait, you guys. Elio's gonna do well later on. Now with that out of the way, I'm happy for Peter Sohn is doing Incredibles 3. I'm proud of him. While for Toy Story 5, the opening with the multiple Buzz Lightyear sounds awesome, and Gatto by Enrico Casarosa is going to be great. Pixar is indeed cooking. All right. I'm honestly very surprised that Peter Sohn is directing an Incredibles 3, not gonna lie. I'm on board with it. Given his incredible work on Elemental, it's no big deal that he'll direct the third film. Funny that the mugger, that Peter voiced in the first movie, from the first film is now directing it. As for Gatto, I bet it'll be really cute, especially with Enrico at the helm. I'm definitely hyped for both. Don't worry guys, Pixar will do fine. Honestly, you actually said it best. Honestly, I think Pixar is going to be okay, even with like the critics and the hecklers complaining on social media. Let's see. Happy to see Peter Sohn got something to work at Pixar with The Incredibles 3. Toy Story 5 sounds interesting, especially that the kid's tablet will be the villain of the film. Will the kid's tablet become good in the end, like Anxiety from Inside Out 2? But I am more excited about Gatto, not because I am a cat lover, but because of an interesting concept set in Italy. Again, by the way, are you releasing 2 reviews, K-Pop Demon Hunters and Elio this week? No, I'm just going to go and say right now that I'm currently working on my review of K-Pop Demon Hunters. This week, however, you're going to be getting the Elio review, and then the week after that, you're going to be getting K-Pop Demon Hunters, just to go and let you know. All right, don't necessarily have a lot of time, so I'm just going to go and read one more comment. Let's see. Keep in mind, I'm not even a fan of finales. Granted, I could see why people might be against follow-ups due to the execution of characters and everything else, but it also expands many things. That's another reason why, despite going through madness of not wanting to go back to the past, I'm thrilled of follow-ups because they're also the opportunity to see how much they have the 3D execution have evolved and changed. Granted, there would be overconfidence of the follow-ups having moments of bad execution of the 3D process. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go and read one more comment just in case. Let's see. I am excited to see The Incredibles 3, even if Brad Bird is not directing the film, but have Peter Sohn as the director. I'm not sure for Toy Story 5. I'll have to wait and see. I am excited to see Gatto. This would be the beautiful hand-drawn animated style from Pixar, and the director of Luca is directing it. All right, so with that said, that should do it for our little Pixar talk. And coming up next after this break, we're going to go and step outside of Annecy, and we're going to be going into a very interesting lawsuit that will be determining the future of a very hated piece of technology. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, on our next story, we will be discussing about AI. Now, I know for you listeners and watchers, I can already hear the distaste of what I've just said. In fact, probably already hear the boos right now, people going, boo. Oh boy, that came out in a weird way. Anyways, boo, I hate AI. Oh boy, I think that's my indigestion also coming out to go and express its distaste for AI. Yes, I know that not many people are a fan of the technology. However, there was a recent piece of news that came out related to AI that could be a massive game changer, or at least would completely change how AI works right now, especially when this is going to be the ultimate test for the technology to see if it can move forward as is, or if it's going to have to make some massive changes to the point of becoming unrecognizable. And the reason why is mainly because of a major lawsuit against Midjourney. Now, with this particular lawsuit, it is noticeably massive, especially with the fact that this is not just Disney, but Universal have stepped in to try to sue Midjourney for copyright infringement. So yes, people, this is actually going to be a team up from Disney and Universal, possibly two of the biggest powerhouses in entertainment. And now we're seeing Mickey and Gru join forces to go and take down Midjourney, or at least stop them for what they are doing. So yes, the big lawsuit here is the fact that they are accusing them of copyright infringement. Specifically, to go and read you here again from my source on Variety, where it states, Disney and NBC Universal filed a federal lawsuit Tuesday against Midjourney, a generative AI startup, alleging copyright infringement. The company has alleged that Midjourney's own website displays hundreds, if not thousands, of images generated by its image service at the request of its subscribers that infringe plaintiffs' copyrighted works. Now, to go and describe the best way that I can, the reason why they're going after Midjourney is because that company is actually one of the biggest and one of the most popular in terms of AI. And they would go and offer a subscription service where people would go and spend money on a monthly basis to go and use it in order to go and create their images. And as a way to go and promote their use, they would heavily use a lot of pop culture characters, especially the ones that belong to Disney and Universal. So if you would go onto Midjourney's website and you would see many of the examples that they would go and display, then you would see a lot of them to show how the technology would be used in order to go and generate images of either the Minions or Shrek or Po from Kung Fu Panda. And in terms of Disney, oh boy, do they have a bunch that would go into each sector that they would have. So, of course, with Disney, they would go into Walt Disney Animation Studios, and you would see plenty of examples of how they would use the technology to form Mickey Mouse or Elsa. Or they would also get into Pixar and show plenty of examples of how they would use Buzz Lightyear. Or they would go into Lucasfilm and have tons of examples of either Darth Vader or Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. Or they would go into Marvel and they would go into tons of examples of the MCU, like with Iron Man, Thanos, and Loki, and several others. And then you would go into 20th century and you would see tons of examples of what they would do with The Simpsons. Or even, they didn't mention this, but I'm sure that you could probably look into the Muppets and they'll have plenty of examples of Kermit the Frog as well. So you can imagine that because they would use those IPs, that they would get, so of course, they would be considered copyright infringement. But it's not only that as well, but it's also with how the technology at this point, some people would go and defend AI by saying that, you know, it has gotten better and the images that they would go and generate, they would actually look like the characters. But debatably, maybe it ended up working a little too well, because even in this article on Variety, they did present a couple of examples. Like here we see Deadpool sitting on a couch next to Wolverine on the side. And from the images, maybe it doesn't look like them 100%. They do look like them, they look like almost identical. Like this is recognizably Deadpool, and on the other side, you see it's Wolverine. Like maybe some people could mistake this as some kind of comic interpretation of the two. And then if we go into the bottom over here, we also got examples of how the technology can be used in order to create the Minions. And I'm not going to lie, like maybe it doesn't look identical to what we would see in the Despicable Me films and in as well as what they would do in the Minions movie, but it still looks very recognizably like the Minions, almost to a T, and almost to the point of being full-on copyright infringement. So from there, what they are pretty much seeking for, if I could go and find it, yeah, it's right over here. It actually did state that Disney and NBC Universal are seeking unspecified monetary damages, as well as preliminary and or permanent injunctive relief enjoining and restraining Midjourney from infringing on or distributing their copyrighted works. And to go back a little bit, there's also the explanation that Disney and Universal has provided, to which it states over here. by helping itself to plaintiffs' copyrighted works and then distributing images and soon videos that blatantly incorporate and copy Disney and Universal's famous characters without investing a penny in their creation. Midjourney is the quintessential copyright-free writer and a bottomless pit of plagiarism. Privacy is privacy, and whether an infringing image or video is made with AI or another technology does not make it any less infringing. Midjourney's conduct misappropriates Disney and Universal's intellectual properties and threatens to upend the bedrock incentives of U.S. copyright law that drives American leadership in movies, television, and other creative arts. Midjourney's bootlegging business model and defiance of U.S. copyright law are not only an attack on Disney, Universal, and the hardworking creative community that brings the magic of movies to life, but are also a broader threat to the American motion picture industry, which has created millions of jobs and contributed more than $260 billion to the nation's economy. This case is not a close call under well-settled copyright law. According to Disney and NBCU, Midjourney sells subscriptions to consumers priced at $10 up to $120 per month so that they can view and download copies and derivatives of plaintiffs' valuable copyrighted characters. So I just gotta go and say that, that Midjourney has made a major screw up. You know it's bad when Disney and Universal has to team up in order to come after you. And this is why I said before that this is going to be the ultimate test of AI. This is going to be the ultimate test to see how much it can go and get away with. Because so far, even though it's only been a few years old that AI has been around and people have been using the technology, it's still kind of like a Wild West in terms of a business venture right there. Because of its novelty, there are no specific laws that really get into AI to go and be said what they can and what they cannot do. And they pretty much go in without necessarily thinking of how it would apply in terms of the modern laws that we have right now. And with what Midjourney is trying to do here, of course, they're going to try to go and counter it. And they would try to go, and like their big defense is that they're saying that what they are using and what they are doing, especially with those copyrighted characters, is technically fair use. Mainly because the way they are using their characters is in a more transformative manner. That the way that you would go and bring these characters to life through AI is more of a transformative means. But even legal experts are pretty much saying that it's honestly, like that argument is very much dubious at best. It's hard to really see if that can really define as fair use, considering that they are directly using popular characters in order to go and sell their products. Like a great example is actually something that I've previously talked about. Now, this is not necessarily the first time that I've discussed about copyright and AI in this. You probably remember a few months ago when there was that whole thing related to the Studio Ghibli style used in AI. That I believe it was OpenAI who would try to go and use that Studio Ghibli style where you upload a picture, you ask the AI machine to go and turn it into this Ghibli style, and then boom, there you have it. Now, in terms of the copyright on that, it's like, it's hard to say if it broke any laws, mainly because it's emulating a style. It's not necessarily trying to copy any of the specific movies that Studio Ghibli has done. Like, it's not necessarily trying to copy My Neighbor Totoro or Spirited Away or The Boy and the Heron or anything like that. It's honestly a little bit vague in terms of what is specifically copying, and it's not necessarily something that it's infringing upon. It's just copying a style. Whereas in this case, however, like, there's no doubt about it. Like, it is full on copying the popular characters. Like, they are taking Shrek, Elsa, and the Minions in order to directly go and sell their products, which that makes it a lot more difficult to try to convince that no harm is done in terms of the already existing laws. So in that regard, this is exactly why people are really looking into this lawsuit, both the lovers and the haters of AI, because there's a very good chance that not only is Disney and Universal going to get the W on this, but if they do win, there's going to be some serious changes on AI. Like, a lot of people have even said that it will actually mark as the end of AI as we know it. But keep in mind that the key word here is technically as we know it. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to destroy AI or it's going to make AI illegal in any way, shape, or form. Because the thing is that like, from what we are seeing here, it's not going to destroy the technology itself. Like, I'm sure even after this, people will still be using AI, but what they will have to do is completely change up the system where they would have to go and try to ensure that no copyright laws are broken, because that's going to be quite an Achilles heel if they are no longer, if AI cannot be above the law. And in that regards, maybe it won't destroy AI, but it will definitely destroy so much, if not most, of AI's popularity. Because let's be honest, the big reason why people nowadays want to go and use AI is for those pop culture related stuff. That they want to take popular characters and shape them in the way they want to see fit. You know, like, they want to have, like, oh, I want a new version of a real Buzz Lightyear that is different than what we have seen in Lightyear. Or they want to have Elsa and dress her up as Elphaba from Wicked, since Idina Menzel actually played both characters. Or they want to have Shrek dressed up as a Jedi. Or they want to have the Minions completely reenact Sinners. And I can pretty much imagine that once once they could fully develop the technology in order to make AI generated videos, then I can imagine that will become an even bigger copyright mess right there, which that is really going to sound the alarms. And this is not even to mention, like, even some of the AI stuff that we have already seen on social media, or especially like on TikTok, for example. Like, a friend of mine actually showed me some AI videos of what if Harry Potter is made in the 2010s, and you see Harry Potter be told in a vlog style. You know, like, you would get guys that you would get, like, Harry Potter hold up his phone. He looks like he's in his 20s, like, yo guys, check it out, I'm in Hogwarts right now. You know, like, that kind of thing right there. And I can imagine that may also, like, there might be a part of it that maybe that can also infringe on copyright. So from there, I can imagine, like, it's going to get worse and worse and worse in terms of, like, how people are going to be using it and how that may infringe copyrights. But if they can no longer use any copyrighted characters, people are going to drop it. People are not going to care. And they're, like, the amount of people who will be paying subscriptions to use AI stuff, or paying for to use AI technology, it's going to go significantly down, and it's going to heavily limit what people can do with AI. And this is not even to mention what AI needs in order to be fed. That if they cannot use copyrighted material in order to feed on the AI system, in order to improve the technology, then it's really going to slow things down, thus reducing its popularity, and it's just going to be a thing of the past with only a handful of people that will go and use it. It's very much like with crypto nowadays. With stuff like crypto and NFTs, that's all a thing of the past. Like, it has way past its prime, and there's only a few people that would go and use it. In fact, the only people who still use crypto nowadays are scamming Republicans. You know, people like Donald Trump, who wants to keep his supporters poor and just create something like meme coins or his Trump coin, for example, that does nothing but keep his supporters poor and keeps him rich. Even though there are some laws that would say that what Trump is doing is illegal, but considering how Republicans are desperate to make him above the law, then, I mean, it's hard to know if he could really face consequences for that. But the point that I'm saying is that it would put AI in a similar position, similar to crypto right now, where it's only going to be scammers and very dubious people that are going to go and try to use it for their own nefarious reasons. So in that regards, it's going to be interesting to see what the results may be. But yeah, you can already tell that who is already against AI in this case. It is going to be massive. And I think, again, this is going to be the ultimate test to see if AI is going to be above the law in terms of copyright, or if not, and it has to go and follow the law. So ultimately, I think we're going to have to wait and see with how that goes. And with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the Midjourney lawsuit? What do you think of the big team up with Disney and Universal going against Midjourney? Do you think they're going to win this court case? Do you think that it might be in Midjourney's favor? I would like to know what you all think. All right, so now big movie studios finally realize that AI is getting out of hand. It's time for Mickey Mouse and the Minions to join forces to save Hollywood from AI. This is going to be the most anticipated moment that animation fans have been waiting for so long. With all that being said, let's get ready to rumble! Also, the AI-generated minions look so weird, and that whole Harry Potter vlog thing would be so wrong if they do that. Well, it's not if they would. They have. I've already seen them. They exist on TikTok. You could go and find them. But yeah, honestly, this is really this really is at the point where we see that with AI, it has now crossed the line somewhere. Like, it is at the point where now it is getting in the way of traditional capitalism. And I honestly, it was just only a matter of time that we would see these big corporations like Disney and Comcast, where they would go after Midjourney or just go after any AI company to go and put them in their place in a way. I know that a lot of people see this as two big evil forces fighting each other and stuff like that. I do get it. But it is very interesting to see how this is going to go. But one thing is for certain is that this is going to shape up the future of AI, no matter what the results are going to be. And according to legal experts, it is not in favor for Midjourney or for AI in general. All right, let's see now. I know we just got done talking about nihilism, but I feel like the lawsuit will just amount to Disney or NBC buying the AI company. Both companies have every interest in using AI to cut costs. They just don't want anyone to make a separate AI company working with their IPs. Disney and NBC will not care about their artists losing their jobs by having AI make the art. They don't want anyone else making money on their copyright. I'm hoping this damages AI, but I know corps will still just use it. Honestly, I don't know about that. I don't know if I can confirm it. I mean, yes, I do know that companies like Disney and NBC, and as well as many of the others, it's not just Disney and Universal. We're also talking about Sony, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Lionsgate, all those companies. Yeah, they would definitely be down to use AI. But I don't know if I could go as far and say that they want to buy Midjourney after all this. I don't know if I would go that far. Let's go and take it one step at a time and see what the outcome is going to be first. Let's see here. I think it's safe to say that Midjourney really screwed up. The fact that they are basically the fact that they're basically taking Disney and Universal's characters and making AI versions of them is absolutely copyright, and Disney and Universal have every right to sue them. And I hope this will damage the use of AI, especially with the horrible ways people use them, like grifting channels like Geeks and Gamers and Clownfish TV. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Like, it's honestly funny and sad at the same time to see those right-wing anti-woke channels now becoming more dependent on AI, like, especially for like their thumbnails and for some of their videos and stuff like that. Like, especially recently, like with how like Geeks and Gamers and Jeremy of that channel especially, like right now, like the videos that he's making nowadays, it radiates divorced energy. You could tell that like I think he has or has a wife and kids, but if he has, like, you could tell his wife is ready to go and divorce him for a liberal man, and his kids are going to become socialists. I can guarantee you that with the way that his business is going with Geeks and Gamers and stuff like that, there is no way that the people associated with him won't stay away from him and become liberals themselves. Like, that dude has totally become that much of a failure, and his dependency on AI is certainly proof of that. I mean, it's not like he is a creative man himself who knows what he's doing. All right. Anyways, let's see what we got here now. So now, no, I've already read that. Sorry about that. It's so hilarious and awesome that both Mickey Mouse and Gru teamed up Avengers style to fight against AI. As you said, you screwed up when even the big corporations are coming out to get you for infringing their IPs. I do hope Disney and Universal will win the lawsuit and have AI died out. Seriously, AI generated minions are super cursed. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, for now, like, again, I don't think it's going to destroy AI entirely, but I do think it will ultimately go and really take down the popularity of AI. So there is that difference. Let's see. Any other comments to go and check out here? Okay. There we go. Okay, I'll go with this one. Just put it out of its misery already. Seriously, I never cared. Excuse me, folks. I never cared about the AI stuff, and I should know. I know people who use it to make corn, even if I tried it myself when I wanted to know how it would mix Star Wars and SpongeBob. Result, I did it better than it, and it's plain ugly. Or I did it better, and the AI is plain ugly. All this to say that this is unique just to see two different studios join forces just to put out a stop to it. Although I would see a Roger Rabbit movie on that. I think it'd be cool. All right. Let's see what other comments would there be. There's not much, so I guess I'll read one more. Somehow AI has gotten to the point where they're pissing off Disney and Universal off to make them sue AI, and I couldn't be happier. As this is something that could be a deal breaker for AI, and if this dies, then AI are becoming the next crypto or NFT, where only a selected few will use it, like scammers or alt-right channels. Exactly, dude. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see with how this goes. And also, I just want to go and point this out that if you want to know more about this lawsuit or how this could possibly affect AI, then I highly recommend you go and check out Legal Eagle's video. He recently put out a video about all this, and it is very fascinating how he really goes in depth into the legal aspect of all this and how this could really spell trouble for Midjourney. All right, so with that said, now we shall go and take one more break, and when we do come back, not only will this be the finale of this episode, but it will also, for now, it will be the finale of this controversy that I've been looking into for quite some time, but I think now we can ultimately answer the question of rather if he is innocent or guilty. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time we are going to go and finish this episode off with grand finale. And for this grand finale, this might be the final time that I'm going to talk about this. I've been chronicling this thing for several weeks now, but let's get into this possibly one more time about the Saberspark controversy. Now, if you've been listening or watching this podcast as of recent, then you probably know what's been going on with Saberspark. And the last time that I've talked about this was in relation to the Mr. Enter video that he released related to the whole controversy, where Mr. Enter specifically Mr. Enter and his team tried his best to look deep into the allegations against Saberspark to see if he actually did sexually assaulted Emily Jones, aka Emu Emmy, and the results that he found were unfortunately inconclusive, considering that the most that he could find were just that yes, he was there at those conventions back in 2012, but that was pretty much it. Even when he went and discussed directly with Emily Jones about the matter, there was no true answer. And for a while, I was thinking, okay, well, I guess we might have to live with the fact that we may never know what the possible answer may be. We may never know who might be telling the truth, and maybe we would have to go and ultimately move on. That was until a few days ago when another YouTuber, well, at least the channel is by the name of Cope and Seethe, but the guy who made the video is named Beckett. Now, he already made a video about the whole Saberspark controversy and I Love Kim Possible a Lot's infamous video, but he has released a new one, however, a big update, a 90-minute video revealing some new information regarding the whole controversy, and boy, did it change the narrative. And the video that I'm talking about is called Saberspark Has Receipts. Now, I just want to go and state this right now, and this will be something that I will be repeating across this segment, that I highly encourage you to go and check out Beckett's video. I highly recommend that you go and actually watch Cope and Seethe's video of Saberspark Has Receipts, because it's a very fascinating video, and just like with Mr. Enter, Beckett actually did a great job really going in depth into how he, looking into the updates that has been revealed, how the new evidence has affected this whole controversy, and actually getting us to the answer if Saberspark actually did it or not. Now, I'll do the best I can to go and summarize what has been said in this video to go and shine a light on where we are now with the controversy. But again, please go and check it out when you can. But with that said, the big thing that Beckett did in this video is that he was able to go and talk to Saberspark, and he finally got to go and actually talk about the actual allegation itself. Now we're actually getting Saberspark's side of the story of what happened and what Emily said in her initial accusation. But not only that, however, just like the title suggests, Saberspark has also provided receipts. Yes, for those of you who have followed Saberspark, for a while now, he has been going through many of his old files and his old computers just to go and find the evidence he can to go and prove his innocence. And he was able to go and find some old text messages. Let's see if I could go into a part. Okay, like right over here. What the frick? Okay, hold on a sec. Time out. Because first and foremost, oh, son of a fish, another one? Like, we already got attacked by Megan, but now we don't need Elder Scrolls. Thank you. Okay, there we go. So as you can see here, yes, he has also provided text messages from Emily that Saber has gotten. So now we have also received receipts. We have gotten evidence of Saberspark's side of the story. And a big update of what was revealed, especially from what Saber has provided, is that Emily lied. There are some things that Emily did not tell the truth or did not actually really get into that's actually a significant part of this controversy. And this is a lie that she has expressed publicly, like in her initial accusation, and she has lied privately to some people, such as she lied in the DMs of Mr. Enter, and she lied in the 3.5-hour interview that Mr. Enter has done. Because there's one important piece of context that she deliberately left out. In fact, it was actually revealed that there are some people who have actually tampered with the evidence to make Emily look better. And yes, some of these people do include Bonk of Brony Fan Don't. And I think even I Love Kim Possible a lot might have played a factor into this. I'm not 100% sure, but KP might have also tampered with the evidence also. Because a big thing that Emily did not tell us is that back then, Saber and Emily were actually friends with benefits. So yes, they did meet each other at those conventions, and they did actually have sex, but it was actually all full on consensual. Like, Emily agreed to go and have sex, and even afterwards, she would actually go and say that, hey, she actually liked it. She had fun she had fun and she's ready to go for more rounds of it. So that's a big piece where, yeah, she's not being truthful about, in which not only is it all consensual, but they agreed to have a specific relationship for that in particular at those conventions. And also, another thing that Emily lied about is actually the fact that she said that after her interaction with Saber at EQLA at the end of 2012, she never spoke to Saber again. She decided to completely distance herself from him and just try to move on with her life. Which that is also not true, because with the text messages that Saber has provided, like, they could go as far as June of 2013. So there have been a lot more interactions even after EQLA and the last time that they had sex. So from there, okay, it looks like there is proof that it was actually consensual and that, it's not like full-on sexually assault as Emily would go and frame up. So why is it that there was that fling, and how did it ultimately end? Why is it that it was all over? Well, as you can imagine, both of them were very young. Like, Saber was in his early 20s, and Emily was, she was like 18 at the time. So she was as of age, but at the same time, she was also a mother, which, keep that in mind, because I also want to go and bring that aspect up with how this whole thing is so messed up. So they were young. They were not as experienced in terms of sex and stuff like that. So they decided to go and have that little fling. But then, after the first convention where they did have sex a few times, there was actually a moment in which Emily decided to tell Saber, hey, I have an IUD, and even though I already have a kid, you could pretty much have sex with me without a condom, and I won't get pregnant at all. So you could try it out and have some unsafe sex with me. And Saber, at the time, he was like, okay. So they actually went and did it. But then after the convention, after they split ways, they went back home. That's when Emily texted Saber, my period is late. And for a couple of months, Saber was stressed out. Like, for that time, he was just filled with anxiety, and he was so worried that he might have been, that maybe he might have screwed up and that he might unintentionally become a father with her, and that maybe the IUD? Yeah, that maybe with the IUD, it may not necessarily be true. So he was freaking out, and he had been, and they were still friends with benefits. But Saber was demanding Emily, please take a pregnancy test. Please take a pregnancy test, because he wants that relief. But during that whole time, Emily was a little bit reluctant. She said, no, I don't want to do it now. I'm not ready for that yet. So then, by the time that they went into EQLA, you know, they were still having fun. They were still having sex. But by the end of it, Saber went and bought a pregnancy test, and he was adamant by saying, go and do it. To which from there, it turns out she was not pregnant. Finally, Saber had some relief, but then he started to go and reflect upon their little fling that they had. And Saber then realized, you know what? It looks like Emily might try to do a bit of a baby scare to force me to stay with her. Like, there is that possibility that maybe it's not, like, maybe that could be the thing where maybe Emily did so intentionally. And slowly but surely, Saber decided to go and try to distance himself from Emily, even unfollowing her on Twitter, which that really triggered her. And then from there, Saber decided, okay, I'll get back. But then he would again go and unfollow her and distance himself more and more when he would see the toxicity of Emily with the way that she would be texting him again and again and again. So that's Saber's part of the story with the evidence that he has provided from there. And it really did change up the narrative, like I said, on how this whole controversy is, in which it actually turns out that maybe Emily is actually the one who is in the wrong. But you might be wondering at this point, though, why? Why would Emily go and tell this big lie? Why would she go after Saberspark? Because keep in mind, this all happened back like almost 13 years ago, back in 2012, and like some of 2013 as well. Like, why would Emily go as far as to do it, like, suddenly now decide to bring up this massive allegation? Why would she go and even do this in the first place? Well, as it turns out, or maybe you might get a little bit of a hint, but the thing is that with Emily, she's kind of unstable. And just like just like KP, she actually has a bit of a grudge. And like when she has a grudge, she could keep it for many years. So she would still have those feelings towards Saberspark. And the reason why she would go and unleash it is mainly because of the Black Griffin controversy. And as you probably know, Saberspark also got a lot of flack for being in the position where he would go and defend Black Griffin. So, considering that people were already upset at Saberspark, there was already that fire that was ignited on the internet, she decided to go and take a whole bucket of gasoline and just throw it to make the fire even more immense by accusing him of sexual assault. In a way, kind of like revenge, kind of like an ex's revenge, but not really an ex, but more like an ex-fling's revenge against Saberspark for not making things go her way. Or at least that is what is described here in the video. But still, though, it is just crazy. And even nowadays, Emily is in a position where she realized that she kind of has the disadvantage, and the fact that those receipts have officially been revealed. The fact that now there is evidence that Saberspark didn't actually go and do it. Like, now she is at the point where, well, as you could probably expect, she's making up a little bit of excuses where she would say that, oh, my memory is not actually the best on the matter. I still need time to go and recover, which obviously is a bit of a tell that, she's kind of, she's like kind of gradually taking the L on this position because she knows that, my credibility might be gone. Mainly because of the fact that she took a big gamble that she didn't think Saber would actually have those pieces of evidence, but it turns out that she was wrong, and now she's kind of paying the price on it. So it's honestly wild to see this unfold, and now, like, there's this big twist to go and expose that Emily is not the innocent one that she would go and see. And again, I highly recommend that you go and check out the Saberspark Has Receipts video by Cope and Seethe. He goes into a lot more depth into this, and not to mention really highlighting the interviews that he has done with people like Saberspark and Emily and stuff like that. But honestly, after everything, like beforehand, I was hesitant to go and try to make an official statement or make an official verdict to go and say, like, is it true? Is it not true? But honestly, at this point, unless there's some unexpected plot twist that might happen that could go and contradict that statement over there, I think I can honestly officially say, at least on my part, that I think Saberspark is innocent. That the good news of this is that it is extremely unlikely now, or at least, or at the most, it did not happen that sexual assault actually occurred. So that crime does not, like, it's a strong likelihood that the crime does not exist. Maybe there is that small chance that maybe things could turn around and maybe Emily was telling the whole truth this whole time, but the chances are really getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point that, honestly, we could pretty much say that Saberspark might actually be right on this, that he is the innocent one, and that, thankfully, he is not a sexual assaulter, which, honestly, I am so relieved to go in here. And I want to go and say this right now, that, considering all the crazy hard work that is done in terms of the investigation on this whole case with Saberspark, I feel like, honestly, the next big step should be that we need to look into Black Griffin's case. Now, I am not saying that we should go and make Black Griffin innocent. We should prove that he is not guilty of all this and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, no, that's not what I'm saying. But I feel like we need this treatment as well in terms of Black Griffin to see if all these allegations are actually true. Like, yeah, sure, maybe there is evidence that the dude is a creep, but we should also go and look into the more serious case if that may actually be true. Because this is not a situation that's just harming Black Griffin. This is also hurting others like Saberspark as well. I think that should also be heavily investigated and try to figure out the truth of the matter of this entire situation. But with all that said, though, I want to go and end off this episode by giving you all a little bit of a lesson here. Let good old AniMat teach you something a little bit about love, like a little bit of a tidbit for you to carry with you in your life that you would get from this episode. And this is actually some love advice that I have personally received from my family. And I feel like, based on everything here, I want to go and pass this on to you. If there is one major lesson to go and get from the Saberspark controversy, never stick your dick in crazy. Or if you're someone with a vagina, the other way goes around as well. Never put in a crazy dick in you. No matter what, if you see the person might be unhinged, don't go as far as to have sex, because you'll end up into getting some major terrible situations that you don't want to be. Now, I know it is ironic I know it's ironic to hear this from AniMat's crazy cartoon cast, but for real though, when it comes to going into relationships or going into friends with benefits, you do not want to be in a position where you would go and sleep with someone who would be completely unhinged. If they don't have their life together, then honestly, you're going to be in for much more trouble, because then they're going to be a lot more emotionally invested in you, and their problems will suddenly become your problems as well. Especially in the case of Emily, I just want to say this is something that I haven't seen brought up often, and I don't want to accuse her of anything bad, but there's one thing that I've been wondering during this whole controversy, and with when watching Cope and Seethe's video, it kind of made me think, where's the baby in all this? Now, I am not accusing Emily of being a terrible mother, but considering that she was a very young mother, that she was a teen mom pretty much, it kind of made me wonder, where is the baby in all this picture? Again, she I don't want to say that she's a neglectful and terrible mother, but she's a little bit messed up when she's prioritizing going to different conventions in different states just to have a little fling with a guy that she knows on the internet than to go and take care of her child. There's something about it that I feel like she doesn't have her priorities straight, and that should have been a red flag right there. I think Saberspark's biggest screw up and biggest mistake in this part here is not noticing any of those red flags and proceed to go and have sex with her. And honestly, this is a mistake that is more common than what people want to admit. And Saber has his excuses at the time. You know, he was still very young. He was in his early 20s. He was still learning about himself and his body and trying to learn about the experience of sex and stuff like that. It's just that he mistakenly chose the wrong partner for it. And I'm just gonna say now, like, yeah, Saber did end up in a controversy years later that put him in the center of attention and got him accused of some serious crap. But I'm just going to say now, he did get pretty lucky that it wasn't even worse. Because there are some times where if you go and stick your dick in crazy, you might end up in a position where you could be seriously harmed or just full on dead. And you know, the funny thing about this is that there's actually a wonderful example of this. A great example and a great lesson of why you should never stick your dick in crazy. And the funny thing is, it comes from the Haunted Mansion, specifically the attic scene of the Haunted Mansion. You know, when you see all those pictures, like seeing, the bride herself next to whatever guy she's with, and then suddenly those heads disappear? Yeah, that's a lesson where all those dudes stuck their dick in crazy. And guess what? They stuck their dick in a woman who have completely lost their minds, and as consequence, they lost their heads. So take that as a little bit of a lesson that you have to ensure that whatever partner you're with that you're going to go and have sex with, rather it be if it's someone that you are in a serious relationship with, or that you're in, that you're just friends with benefits. If you have some kind of like connection that you have with each other for that, then ensure that that person in particular is mentally okay. Make sure that they are in a position where they can be comfortable and that they are comfortable in doing it. Of course, like, consent is mandatory in this, but at the same time, ensure that, they still have some common sense and that their life is in a pretty good spot where if you go and sleep with them, nothing bad is going to occur afterwards. So I think that's ultimately the big takeaway from this entire lesson. All right, so with that said, though, now I would like to pass this onto the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you, how do you feel that now we have finally made it to the conclusion, or hopefully the conclusion, of the Saberspark controversy? Let me know your thoughts on all that. All right, let me go and see here. I did watch Cope and Seethe's video, and it was very good, and I'll admit, I'm honestly convinced that Saber is actually innocent. While I will admit I'm not really happy that Saber is still defending Black Griffin despite all of his controversies, but the fact Emily would try to ruin Saber's reputation is awful, and this not only makes Emily look bad, but this also makes KP even worse, and I think she's pretty much destroyed her reputation. Oh, yeah. I mean, sadly, KP is in a spot, like, I've seen a post about it where KP is still not in a position where she feels ready to go and take the L. But I mean, at this point, she kind of has to. And that's why I want to say that there needs to be a serious investigation, and we need to go and answer the question if Black Griffin actually go and do it. Because, yeah, say what you will about the guy, but allegations are still allegations. It doesn't truly answer if he really is as much of a monster as some people on the internet claim him to be. So if we could go and try to solve that as well, I think it could also go and help put out some relief. Let's see now. I just want to say this. Only 2 to 10% of accusations are false. This is a rare thing. The other 90 to 98% are true. So this all started because Lazy Bedhead and Courtney Pete made a video about Black Griffin. I think the former's video was actually pretty interesting. I think Lazy Bedhead was trying to be kind and analyze things about Black Griffin's controversy. Saberspark's association with Black Griffin became a spark for Emily, KP, and Courtney. Instead of taking time, 3 women ended up being hated, stupid, and damaging. And honestly, no, you really bring up a very good point, honestly. This doesn't necessarily change the fact that, people who would go and accuse others of sexual assault or sexual harassment and stuff like that, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be listened to. And yes, it is true that in the case of Saberspark, this is one of those rare occurrences where the woman is actually the liar or the alleged victim is actually the liar in this case. This is something that we still need to go and take seriously whenever people would go and try to call out. And yes, it does happen more often than not that what they are saying is actually true. So I just want to go and state, don't take the Saberspark controversy and think that, oh, well, all women are liars. People who accuse others of sexual assault, they're just lying. No, that's not the case at all. It's still something that we have to go and take very seriously on the matter. So thank you, Pixar girl, for bringing this up, because that is actually a very good statement and another really good takeaway in all this. All right, let's see. Glad to hear that Saberspark is innocent in this case. Damn, this is like a revenge story, but a really bad one. Emily and KP are definitely becoming more dangerous in the online world than ever, just by saying lies like this towards Saber to ruin his reputation. Yeah, this is kind of dumb. If I ever do it like score with consent, I'd wear a freaking condom. Exactly, man. And I can tell you, honestly, it made me reflect back on some of the past relationships that I had. And I can tell you that there have been some moments where I was honestly a little bit close to actually getting in that position where I dated girls who are like that crazy. And thankfully, I was at I ended up in a position where I had to go and dump her, or she would end up ghosting me. But still, much better than, well, whatever happened here. Still, though, it's unfortunate what Saberspark went through, and I really do hope that he could go and really recover from all that, because, like, this is pretty much a situation where this is a case where, like, apparently a girl that he dumped as a fling just wanted revenge. All right, I think I only have time for one more comment, so one good thing to come out in all this is that we finally have some answers. I'll just say it. This is absolutely disgusting. Making false sexual allegations because of a petty grudge. Whether or not Saberspark decided to press charges, I think it's safe to the court of public opinion will not be kind to KP and by extension Emily. And there are things that Saberspark could have done better, yes, but nobody deserves to have their career ruined this way. At least we can breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah, honestly, I am hoping that I don't have to talk about this controversy again, because honestly, after everything, Saber deserves to have some relief. Saber deserves, to have a peace of mind after everything. Like, I feel bad that he had to go through all this, but honestly, I'm glad that at least for now, it looks like this whole thing is finally over. And speaking of which, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for joining me on this, and wow, it's been a blast to bring back AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and I hope that we will have more fun times coming soon, telling you about the crazy news that has been happening recently. So I just want to let you all know now that if you would like to go and follow me for more crazy adventures that are going to be happening on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast and more crazy things to go and report, then all you have to do is go and subscribe to the AniMat Live Twitch channel or the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. At the same time, if you are listening to this podcast, don't forget to go and follow me there, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and many others. So, with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.